Welcome back to the Agents of Data podcast. Whilst we were at San Francisco at Snowflake Summit just a few weeks ago, we had the opportunity to sit down with Shishir of TEK Global Systems. We dug into how AI is being used under the covers of projects to help make data teams and their organisations wildly more productive with their data. TEK Global Services provide end-to-end technology, solutions and consulting. This episode is led by Angie Hastings. Angie is our Senior Solution Architect here at Matillion. With that, over to you, Angie.
Here with me today on Data Driven is Shishir Srivastava from TEK Systems Global Services. And we're going to be talking today all about big data and all of the changes that are happening in our industry around AI and kind of everything in between. So Shishir has spent nearly 2 decades, along with myself, in the tech industry and in the data space. And in that time, we've seen quite a bit of change in technology and in data and what businesses are doing with that data. So we're just going to kind of dig into all of those challenges that you're seeing in the industry.
Yeah.
So for more than 20 years in the industry, you've witnessed a bunch of changes, as have I. From your vantage points, what's the most important pivotal shifts that we're seeing in business and with regard to data today?
Yeah. Thanks, Angie. Thanks, Matillion, hosting me here. I think it's a huge transformation. I've been in industry now pretty much close to 24 years, and with TEK Global Services, 15 years now. I'm happy to be in a beautiful company like this. The transformation, what I've seen across the ages, back in, I've been in data all along my career, since 2000s, I've been working in this space, and essentially all of these years I've seen that, the way data, transformed over the years. We talk about monolithic systems. We had on-prem system, customers were struggling, that you need to scale up to our system, take it to the next level. New innovations have came. I remember being in Oracle Exa, one of the high-end computing machines like IBM mainframe. So the systems have moved from those days where the systems were monolithic to little powerful, and then the era of big data, from big data to cloud, from cloud to now AI. So it's a huge transformation across the years, but it is great to see how industry has changed over the years. But if I have to put my perspective, there are different areas where industry has struggled over the years, and I see that ray of light, the hope when we talked about the advent of big data, or probably with the cloud. Now things have simplified and kept on moving at a pace which no one has ever thought, right? And it's a speed of light, or it is a speed of thought. The way technology is changing. Some of the key aspect of issues or maybe concerns what industry had it, if you ask me, it's data silos. Number of organizations, not just one, a number of organizations, and it's culturally, organically, the way organizations have been laid down and the way they have been framed, the way the work culture has been framed. Everybody has their own way of working, whether in terms of departmental data or holding the data among themselves. It's a cultural shift as well, that you can say policy regulations, with which it becomes difficult at times to share the data across the department. So holding that data creates silos, and then because of that silos, you see data quality issues as well. That's the next step. Those are some of the roadblocks or bottlenecks. I've seen that over the period of year, where customers are struggling, the data quality issue, and then comes the governance. Now you have to put one more layer, that how do I keep the data clean? Who should access the data? Who shouldn't be? What are the privileges needs to be given? Those kind of issues, of course, along with governance, security, and proprietary data. So all that fun stuff comes in along.
Yeah.
But those are some of the bottleneck.
Yeah.
And those have been, I feel, or I've seen that, it's getting away slowly.
Yeah, so we had the shift from all these data silos and kind of the move to the cloud.
Exactly.
And then Tech Systems Global Services is helping companies kind of break down those silos
Yeah.
and move to the cloud. And now what we're seeing is this next big sea change, this next big gear change, right? The addition of AI and the addition of all of this,
right.
like even more concerns with data and how are we dealing with those data.
Right.
So how are you? You previously talked about data as the new oil,
Yeah.
and kind of helping companies to figure out how to, like you said, how to integrate, how to cleanse, how to govern
Right.
as the move and modernization to the cloud. How do you see that changing now with AI coming on?
I mean, that's a great analogy if I have to put it, right? So when we say data is the new oil, right? Oil, if you go back, decades back, it powered the economies of countries, economy of, organization, that how they have moved from, stalemate monolithic organizations or countries to, powerhouses. And so if I see and if I put that analogy in terms of data, data is the foundation. It's the foundation of AI. You know, you you see all those innovations like large language models, RAGs or agentic AI and all these frameworks. It's all about driven by data. So you need to have that power of data, and it's not just the data; it's a quality data. It's like if you put in garbage, of course you're gonna get garbage out. So you need to have quality data, and all for all that critical aspects of data platform, or to have a strategic move to make a modernized data platform, you need to have right mindset for sure, along with right strategy. Now, when we talk about right strategy, do we have data governance in place? Do we have integration tools in place? There are federated system we are talking about now. Now, if I compare certain areas, or for example, one of the organization we work with, I don't want to name the customer for sure, but then those organization, if I take one particular example, it struggled, in a number of places. And to give you a particular example, we've been engaged, to modernize the system. They were struggling with the performance of the whole system. That reporting was pretty slow, and they wanted us to come on board, understand their whole landscape, and give them a solution which can be, agile, speed, and accurate. And the first day in our engagement, and I was having on the table conference with the stakeholders, and what we learned essentially, they were running their entire system on a Windows XP desktop.
Oh wow.
And I was surprised that how can you run an enterprise on such kind of low-end machines. So the argument what I heard was, it's the cultural team, the way they wanted to handle is, they don't want to move away from what they know. The upskilling and the adoption part of it, right? That was completely missing. Although as part of our recommendation, definitely we recommended them Red Hat and Unix. And I'm talking about the story way back in 2008, when there was no advent of cloud or big data.
Yeah, they don't want to do all that whole skill shift,
Yeah,
right?
skill shift,
So
and they didn't want to learn about those new technology. Although we gave them a good hybrid solution, we helped them to modernize eventually. But then that engagement, what gave me a learning, in fact, to the stakeholders on the customer side, is they need to invest a lot on upskilling and reskilling the new technology, as the way the whole landscape is moving. And I'm proud to be a part of an organization where we focus really hard on upskilling our team members, resources. Everybody's like, you talk about data side of it, platform side of it. Everybody's learning about AI and how things are shaping up. So that's a good story to tell when I say how organizations needs to be changed. So when I say data is an oil, right, does what it means essentially, that it's a foundation. It's going to, power, or it's going to act as a catalyst in terms of transformation. Now, every organization has data, but are they using it to its full potential?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, on that analogy, really, in order for data to really help a company and be of value,
Yeah.
it has to be clean, it has to be trustworthy, all of that. What are some of the use cases that you're seeing around kind of the cloud and the AI use cases that customers are using in order to see that value?
Yeah, there are the number of use cases. The opportunities are like, I would say, infinite. It's just like, and now I've seen those days where you pump the data overnight and you have to wait for the batch processing to happen and you see the result next day morning. Now we are in an era where the data is getting produced at whatever be the source system, and you see that flushed out and ready for consumption right within a minute or within second, like fraction of second. So it's the data is moving at that speed, but then it also creates a lot of challenges. Now, when I see the use cases and the different, uh, I would say the POVs or MVPs we usually come across, where customers are talking about that, hey, what can we do? And there are like really, really, interesting use cases I've came across when working with different engagements. Um, and one of them stands out really well to me, that customer was already in their journey. They were pretty matured, and they wanted to move to the next level. What they asked us that, why don't you guys come and suggest us, understand our landscape, and suggest us what is the best possible use case we can do. And we had done like sort of a deep dive and align phase where we go assess the environment, discover the whole landscape and technology landscape of the customer, and then define and suggest them that these are certain use cases based on certain scenarios what they working on. Now, what we learned, they were really struggling with exposing the data to the different business users and the consumers of the data set. Now, they had ServiceNow, they had Salesforce, they had some mainframe systems. So one of the aspect when we modernize the system is like bringing those federated data sets together, making a unified platform, and exposing it to the business users or the right consumers of the data. So what we gave them a great use case which they loved it, and it is still in production. It was, they wanted the speed, the agility. So the framework or the solution what we put together, and that was an I would say a hyper automation. It's a automation on steroids, we can call it as. But then the use case was the user has to just identify their data. So they had a portal of data set that they different departments have healthcare, finance, and manufacturing. They had different departments. It was a manufacturing organization. They had different data sets. So all the user has to go as like from a drop down in a ServiceNow portal, choose a data set what they want. Whether that data is in the system or not doesn't matter. You just have to choose a data set and just say submit. It goes to the owner of the data. The data shepherds were identified, owner of the data, who can approve it. And behind the scene, once the data has been approved, it will be pulled through wrappers, behind the scene there will be automation scripts will be running. It will take the data set, put right guardrails around it, privileges, so the policy, so that once it gets available for the consumption, it should be available for the right people rather than exposing it to everyone. And this is all in automated fashion.
Oh, wow.
And that was a fantastic use case.
Yeah.
So that's that.
And was there AI being used under the covers to kind of prepare this for the end user? Was the business to be able to understand their data better?
Exactly, yeah. So that was one, and then we came across one of our manufacturing custom. For that we have done manufacturing analytics as a solution, which was Snowflake's capability of Cortex Analyst. We leveraged it, They were a long time customer of manufacturing. They had built their data warehouse, dimensional data model, which was, I think, close to 10 or 15 years old. Literally, we put up a layer on top of that of Cortex Analyst, and it gave them the capability of self-service BI, literally through a natural language. You can just type in the queries and you get the answers. That was fantastic use case. And another great study AI use case, I would say, we worked with one of our partners, I would say, one of our customer. They were really struggling to um, get the data for the data collaboration. That was one of the great use case we had. It was a manufacturing company. They were having inventories across North American region, and it's a basically a paint company, and pulling the data up, and they may used to maintain their inventory in multiple different locations and to their dealer network. Now, if the inventory gets if you just think of it like a situation where you had inventory, but then it's running out of the space.
Like if the quality is bad or yeah,
And
it's not
with
accurate.
different parameters they had it, and so they had to deliver it. And if that comes this situation, they have to eventually request for that. Now that's a long due process. You have to understand your own system, see that how much of inventory you have, and then make a request to the organization that hey, we are running short of the inventory. We need to have more. We need to refill the inventory, and they send it tons and tons of gallons of their paints. And for that, the whole process used to take a week or two. With this power of Snowflake and data sharing capability, all that they had to do now, literally, just click of a button, you raise a request. Be under the hood, there is Cortex search engines where they have to produce the proof of inventories and all that, which processes all those unstructured data in terms of images and PDFs. It reads that, puts uncovers that layers and layers of information that in bulk, and just provide them that input and in a structured format. In here at the organization side, they have um, um, a Snowflake system, which is set it up through um, a proper governing body, and the team of data engineering solution, we used to work on it, and they just put the data, process it, and within like in minutes they'll have the approvals ready for refilling the inventory. So some of the really good cases in different industries.
That's a great point about like we had all of the structured data and then kind of semi-structured data. Now there's just this huge explosion of unstructured data.
Yeah.
And the same challenges, right? That you have to have access to it and quality and determine like what happened. You can get value out of it.
Yeah.
But it's whether it's clean or not, right? Garbage in, garbage out,
Yeah.
right?
And in fact, that reminded me of one of the recently we came across one of the good use case of AI. We working in one of our customer where they have government directives keep coming to them in terms of PDF, and they had a team of advisors and lawyers,
Like regulations, you mean?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, government directive, regulations, and policies, and those are like EDF files or a bunch of documents in like thousands and thousands of pages. So they have to read through it, scan it, understand it, and make the changes in terms of how they are catering to their customers, and immediately inform the body who is giving these directives or policies that we are on top of this, and we have taken care of all different scenarios. The turnaround time for all of that was a week or two. They have to go through all the. It's a team of folks. Now you just dump all of the data, put the LLM engine behind it. It just scans over it. You literally talk to your PDF files, ask the questions. What am I? What are the next set of course of action, what has changed from my previous data set now in this new one, is there anything else you need to take an action, and literally gives you right away action, which is like in minutes.
Yeah.
And then you just come to a meeting, understand, give it to instructions to your team, and
The time difference is amazing.
Exactly.
Matillion now has the capability to take those large PDFs,
Yeah.
send it to a large language model.
Yeah.
And I have an example of a 100-page document that I just ask to summarize,
Yeah.
and it does it in seconds, whereas it would take a human maybe weeks to do that. Yeah. So what are you finding? Are you finding that people are kind of embracing this new way of thinking?
Oh, yes.
Or is there some hesitancy on using the large language models?
No, I think I've seen that the adoption is pretty high, and the customer base, not just at the enterprise level, the large language model, and even the advent of AI. AI, I call it as it's a baby now. It used to be a baby. If you see that, I usually put that analogy of baby, like, when baby is born, it starts speaking, then it starts blabbering, and after blabbering, it'll start getting the contextual, topic. If they have to talk, right, they'll talk about that. And then eventually, they'll once they grow, once they mature, the kids, they'll do their own task on their own. So the way AI has progressed over the years is like, LLM was the step one where it was gone, and then eventually you have RAD model where you are giving the context to your AI data set, because LLMs is like, the huge, it's giving you the entire universe of data, and you just ask your question, and there are problems of hallucinations, data accuracy, and all of that has been solved by retrieval augmented model, generative model. So that's RAG model is given that context, that specificity or accuracy to the data set. And now we are talking about agentic AI. Agentic AI is all about that. It's like, autonomous agents which takes care of decision, perform the task, and do it on your own, all of those things. So I think it's moving at a rapid pace. And yesterday I was listening to the keynote. It was, fantastic note by Sam. He mentioned that, it's the time where we need to start exploring it. Then wait for things to happen, rather, out of curiosity, do it. It's that time, and I see that there's huge adoption. Customers are curious. They are asking us that we know the little capability, but you being in the industry for such a long time, you tell us what are the use cases. How can we take our organization to the next level? There are it's like sitting across the table and understanding their problem statements, and then doing it the putting that framework or layer of AI and trying to solve the problem, because it's a new world altogether. The capabilities, I see that it's immense.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, the trustworthiness of what's coming out of those models.
Yeah.
And so what kind of guardrails are you finding that people are putting around, and like human in the loop, to really trust what information is coming back?
Yeah.
I think that's a concern in the industry, as like you said, a child who's maturing and growing, and making sure that those models don't get trained with the wrong stuff and the hallucinations. So is TEK Systems Global Services like figuring out how to put those guardrails in place?
Exactly. So in fact, in one of our meeting, I was explaining to one of our customer, we are building tons and tons of agentic AI solution within organization. So we are not a product company, we are consulting firm, but being technology consulting firm, we definitely need to have an upper hand of what we do as a business, and we know it. So there are a lot of agentic AI related framework or accelerators we are building it. In fact, my team is working on data validation agent, and good that you brought up the topic. And I can explain a bit and how we are trying to rectify, because this is a very common problem across the industry, and we've been hearing a lot about that. Hey, we have data. How do we ensure the data is accurate or not? So what we are doing is we have put up an agentic AI framework to any enterprise data. It doesn't matter. It has to be on cloud for sure.
Yeah.
The moment it enters into the system, there's an agentic AI system, a framework which keeps running behind the scene. It will flush out any outliers into the system. But hey, this is something wrong. In let's say, assuming in a field of name or last name, you see numbers or special characters. So it will just flush out, give create a feedback loop to the humans that hey, you go and take a look at it, record your action. It's a I would say, what we've used is reinforcement learning. It's a new concept and technology offered by in the field of AI. We are leveraging that, building our solution where understand the data set, bring it to the fore in front of the customer or whoever the guardians of the data, see that is it okay, what action I need to take. You take those action, record those action, and all these things can be done in natural language. You can just type it in and say that, hey, I just want to delete the data. I want to keep this data. I'll just quarantine this data from the data set. And it will take those action, do it behind the scene for you, and be ready for the next set of action. In fact, when the same kind of problem comes into the next time, it will tell you that, are you okay to take the previous action which I've taken it? And you just say yes, and it will take it. You don't need to,
Yeah.
literally do those every time when you're coming across. So
Yeah, I think there's people that are concerned, oh, with this AI, is my job going away? And I don't think that we always have this kind of data engineering and understanding of the data. Is it going to go away? It's just it's teaching us to be prompt engineers instead of data engineers.
Oh, yeah.
Like so that we can get through way more data faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big opportunities in a AI world. Like, what are some of the kind of risks or things to watch out for as we're kind of moving into this space?
I think the major risk I see is, the governance. You need to have an AI governance. And we internally within our organization in tech system itself, we had AI governing council body, which has members across from different, field, whether it was, to talk about from the data side, the app side, or infosec and regulatory bodies. Everybody's involved into that. It's a group, and I would say no. It's not just within our organization. I would suggest to the customer that they should have that kind of a council, that kind of a group which can look into the system where do you have biases, right? To talk about race or color or country, location, whatever, right? So those kind of biases, are they coming out of it? And that's amazing. Yeah, right. And those kind of concerns, those are very prevalent, and that's a major, I would say, should be the focus area of the industry for the customers who are adopting AI framework in future. That's something to be watched out for. Um, Other than that, if you are a customer who are still in your journey of data modernization, look after your data, look after the quality of the data, because wrong data can produce wrong results. Although you might adopt saying that it's an AI generated output, but it's not something AI has produced. It's the garbage you have there.
Yeah.
That in. So that's something.
It's like the challenges that were
Exactly.
previously, we always talked about
Yeah.
having good quality data and data that could be trusted.
Right.
And now it's even more important, right? Because there's more of it, and now we're training models on having clean data.
And the last probably I would say, the skilling, upskilling of the resources. Those who are in this space, they need to know, because the way innovations are happening, those are not limited to just one company or big public cloud provider. Whether it's not tied up to just AWS or Snowflake or Azure, it is across the industry. Innovations are happening, different places. There are open source technologies as well. So I think the resources and those who are working into the system, they need to upskill themselves. For the industry, that's my message. They need to even focus on that and see that how can they improve upon that.
Yeah. Yeah. looking ahead and kind of upcoming in the industry, like any trends beyond, just kind of interacting with the AI, any trends that you can see coming up that we need to sort of watch out for?
Well, I think agentic AI is a new kid on the block. Everybody's watchful, everybody's, interested and curious about it. I think that's the area we all should be focusing on.
So maybe let's take a step back and kind of talk a little bit more about like what does that really mean? What does agentic AI mean? It's like a buzzword. It's the new kid on the block.
Oh, yeah.
But kind of explain what is that meaning?
Yeah, so agentic AI is, it's a system. You are putting you are putting that autonomous engine to your AI. Now AI used to be like, it's reactive. Usually you provide them a task and to take care of the task and give you the results. But now with agentic AIs, you take those action. It's not driven just by one set of action. It can take care of like multiple set of action. For example, I have to order a pizza, right? I know in my phone that I usually order a pizza from maybe Pizza Hut or Domino's or whatever, like whatever my favorite restaurant. All we have to do it is create a system where they'll read it in my system, what's my preferred choice, what time it is open, it'll order it. All I have to say that hey, probably if this is to Siri, right?
Yeah.
On an iPhone, that order a pizza for me. It'll literally order a pizza on behalf of me, make a payment through another agent which will do the payment system, which handles the payment system. The third agent will take care of that delivering the pizza from that pizza house to home, and it is delivered to my doorstep. So it's like multiple tasks driven by multiple agents, and it's combined together makes you a seamless experience what you want it.
Each little agent has its own
Defined
specific task that it's doing, and they all work together as a team.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's more of a collaboration of different agents.
All right, for like the data listeners that are listening, that like data leaders that are listening, what's one piece of advice that you would offer them to better unclog their data pipelines that they have today?
I think the main focus area, as I was saying, the data is the foundation. Everybody should focus on the data. And yesterday at keynote, I was talking with Matt as well, and everybody was like so pumped about what AI is offering. But the focus should be data. We need to bring in a right amount of data, because you cannot produce the expected result unless and until you have the right amount of data and right quality of data. So data is the main foundation. Right skills of resources, the resources which can execute your system or the program, the projects. You need to have the right mindset, right resources who knows all of this technology, because technology is changing pretty fast. So all of that, I think those are the two key factors in my opinion, because the rest of the things can definitely be taken care.
And for the data leaders that are concerned about like completely changing their skills, like I know there's a lot of tool sets, and Matillion provides the ability to easily create those pipelines without having to have data scientists and stuff. So are you finding it easier to kind of upskill those customer teams in whatever you build?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, AI could help in building those answers to the question. Literally, there are LLMs where you can literally query. You want a detailed question, detailed answer, or a very brief answer. It can literally give you in seconds. So it's all about exploring the power of LLMs out there and building the different solutions. In fact, in those kind of solutions, we are investing internally in our organization, TEK Global Services, where in terms of training, certifications, and building those an ecosystem of learning in TEK Global Services, it is there.
Yeah, people don't need to be intimidated by like this scary world of artificial intelligence, because it's actually getting easier.
Yeah, in fact, I see that the era of when iPhones and mobile phones picked up, there was a talk of the town was that people are going to lose the job. In fact, it created a different shift and huge amount of jobs for different skills. It's going to be the same in AI. We will be little free to do more innovative things among ourselves. It will create new different aspect and different types of jobs which are not there in today's world.
Yeah.
Something to explore.
Being able to take all of that massive volumes of data that's
Yeah.
growing and growing,
Yeah.
and being able to really add value to it by having it clean and properly trained and integrated with all of those AI
Exactly.
models.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for coming today and having a talk with us about all things data and AI.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Agents of Data podcast. The podcast is brought to you by intelligent data integration platform Matillion. To discover agentic data engineering, visit matillion.com/Maya. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think of everything we discussed over on Matillion's LinkedIn and Instagram.